I had one girl that I met who very quickly fell very hard for me. She'd never had a tattoo in her life, and she gets a tattoo of my name with the infinity sign right on her breast. On her breast.
It's Cody forever. I'm here with Cody, and Cody is in Vietnam. He's going to tell us what took him to Vietnam. Cody and I actually met in Saigon, in Ho Chi Minh City, a couple of years ago playing poker. We were kind of both regular poker players at this place there in downtown Ho Chi Minh City. And Cody, why don't you give us a little bit of background, where you're from, your age, and then kind of tell us what brought you to Vietnam and where you're at now, and kind of just your status there, what it's been like to be living in Vietnam, and then we'll get into the dating aspects after that.
Okay, yeah. First of all, if you told me 2 years ago that I was going to be like living every day in a foreign country where a lot of people don't speak English, and I would have been like, what? Because I got married at 20 years old. I saw your first video. I came from also a super religious upbringing. Out of Idaho. And
now wait a minute. Were you Mormon also like me then?
No, but like the strictness, it's a Baptist denomination, but okay. Very, very strict upbringing.
Okay, and, all right.
Getting married young is kind of the norm in the subculture where I'm from. When I explain to other Vietnamese people, I explain because they have all these preconceived notions of what American culture is like. And I have to explain to them that there are, subcultures, say the Mormon subculture, certain religious communities that don't necessarily the way they expect. But so I got married at like 20 years old. And basically what happened was I realized that getting married so early and having kids and working, your normal 9-to-5 job or whatever, it just didn't really interest me when I thought that was kind of my only option. That's just what everyone does. And I got into poker because
I'm
huge in Idaho. Yeah. I worked at a card room, like a small casino in Washington, right on the border. I lived right on the border of Idaho and Washington.
All right.
Yeah. And I got into poker. I saw that there was one player who just would always win, like almost not always, but he would win much more than he would lose. And I was really into probability, statistics, things like that, set theory, things like I was really into math and that sort of thing. And so I watched him. Basically, I tried to always deal his table, and I would just watch how he played and see what is he doing that everyone else isn't doing that is causing him to win all the money. Like every day, like we ran these daily tournaments. And
so you're essentially getting paid to be a student of the game.
Yeah, that's basically what I was doing. And he didn't even know I was doing it until later. And basically, so I start playing those, local $20 buy-in tournaments, $40 buy-in tournaments. And before I knew it, I'm starting to make some pretty decent money, like semi-consistently. And, I was completely broke at the time. I had negative money. I mean, I just owed like tens of thousands of dollars in debt. And I had one friend of mine who comes from a more wealthy family who believed in me, and he invested in me. And I went on like a nice little run, making like basically poker just very quickly paid all of my debts. It established a decent net worth for myself. And I just fell in love with the game, like more and more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to get better. I wanted to win more. That was all
playing in the U.S. in Washington State, right?
Yeah, it started there. And then I would play like some bigger tournaments in the Oregon area, in Pendleton, Oregon. And then I would travel to Las Vegas. And basically what happened was, before I knew it, I had, quite a bit of money from my perspective, from having nothing to having money where I could go travel or do whatever. And all of my friends were like, if I were you, I would do this. And they were like all saying what they would do if they were me. And I've never even considered it. And so I just basically said, at this point, my wife at the time and I separated. She really wanted kids. That was the biggest thing, is she really wanted kids. And I was like, I don't even know if I want kids. And so I said, screw it all. And I just went to Asia, went to Bali. Indonesia was the first destination.
No way. That's the same as kind of what started me off on Asia.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I was meeting a friend there.
Okay.
I was meeting a friend from Spain there, but I told myself that I wanted to get the solo experience a little bit. So I made it a point to show up before my friends did. And I got there and I didn't have a hotel booked. I didn't know anything about what it was going to be like. I just landed.
Did you just get swarmed by the taxi drivers like I did at the airport? Like everybody wanting to do something for you for money?
No, luckily I had someone inside the airport that kind of helped me find a casino find a hotel. Yeah. And it wasn't a hotel though. It was like the worst room you could have ever chosen. It was so bad. Like it was so bad. There was like a fan inside, but it didn't work. There was a cupboard inside, like to hang your clothes, like a closet, but everything was broken inside of it.
So this person didn't really help you. They took advantage of you. Maybe.
And it was only about $8 after after the exchange rate. It was like $8 per night. But pretty sure I got like bed bugs. But at that time, I was very into like meditation and stoicism. And I just remember like being surprisingly very okay and happy with the fact that like I remember waking up and just hearing the sound of the morning prayer song. And they're primarily Muslim country.
Sure.
And there's that song, the prayer they do like at certain hours of the day. And I just remember waking up and like I'm like it was just so peaceful and like meditating and basically I just used dating apps. Like I was hanging around that area and just exploring. Like for the first probably week or so, I was meeting other guys who would play billiards. I was playing billiards, just kind of exploring the areas. And then I joined this dating app, got on this dating app, and I met this girl who, this was like, this is the first time I've ever had, a fling or whatever, because I was previously married.
Yeah.
And it was the most fun I'd ever had, because she was like got paid to be like a model. Like that was her job. Like she got paid like $100 to $200, which lasts so long in Indonesia. Like,
sure.
And her and her friends lived just the craziest lifestyle. Like they would just go take pictures together, make a lot of money. And then they would like, they all shared one hotel room that they all like shared payment for. And then they would just go to the clubs and just party like every day. It might be a different club, but that's pretty much like everything they did. And it was just so cool. Like they kind of like, I hung out with them for a while, and I had never really I never really had that sort of experience. I was never much of a partier. And the thing that
that's a huge shocker lifestyle change for a guy growing up in a religious family in Idaho. That's a big difference. Now you're on the other side of the world. You're in Bali, dating a model, partying.
Yeah. And I think I actually got extremely lucky, because I was I'm pretty naive in general, but I was extremely naive coming to Asia. I mean, look at how much planning went into it. I mean, I just thought, it'll be fine. And it was for the most part, but I was super lucky because she was like a good person as well. Like, she was like really honest, and she wasn't the sort of, stereotypical people always worry about, like a gold digger or something like that. Her family was loaded. She had a very interesting life herself. Her family, her dad was like super high up in the Jakarta government. Like, wow. He had the ability, she always wanted to travel, and he had the ability to like track her passports and block her from going places. And
no way.
And so she would somehow sneak out of the country and stuff. She lived a crazy life too. And
that's interesting.
Yeah,
did she, like my first date, I forgot to talk about this on my other video. My first date was in Bali. Actually, I had a date in Bali, and we did a lunch date. We showed up, and I looked at this menu, and I don't think even that menu had very much on there I wanted, because she chose the restaurant, and she orders this stuff, and she goes, "Here, try this." And I go, "What is it?" It was like fried chicken feet, and they look so freaking nasty. It was the feet from chicken, and like, how much meat can be on a foot and a claw, right? But it was like these gross little fried claws of chicken feet, and apparently it's like French fries to these. It was the grossest thing. But that was my first date ever in Asia, right there.
Yeah, chicken feet's really popular here in Vietnam, but actually I never experienced it in Bali. I never saw it. I don't think. That's funny. What did they? I did know that it was very different for me to eat the rice. They eat the rice with their hands.
Oh, in Bali or in where?
In Indonesia, they eat the rice with their hands.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't remember if she did that. I don't know. She was just like nibbling the tiny bits of meat and tendons and whatnot off of the bones of these chicken feet, and then spitting out. Oh, she'd put the whole thing in her mouth. That's what she would do. And she'd like work it around for a while, and then she'd take her spoon and spit out the chicken foot, like the bones. Like,
yeah,
it was a shocker for me.
It's supposed to be like a fun snack that actually a lot of girls tend to like. Yeah,
I guess. So a little different for us, a little different, but you got to be adventurous once in a while. I've eaten a lot of adventurous things, but that one wasn't for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've tried it. It's fine. It's like you said, there's just not much meat. It's just kind of boring in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, that let's see here. Where were we at?
Okay, so that's what started your dating in Asia in general, is this girl that you met in Bali, and then so how long did you stay in Bali? How long did you date her?
For about a month.
Oh wow, nice.
And
so you were just playing it by ear.
My friends were heading. Yeah, I was just playing it by ear. I had no plans or whatever, and I mean, we just had a lot of fun. We didn't necessarily fall in love or anything, but we had a lot of fun together. We hung out like every day, just like a companion, and she helped me around and taught me the language. I love learning new languages. Nice. I learned Bahasa or Indonesian. I learned that language very quickly, actually. Like, I feel like if I went back for another 2 or 3 months, I could probably speak it like somewhat conversationally. Like it's kind of a very easy language to learn, actually.
Really? That's interesting.
Huh. Yeah, it is because they don't have like tenses. It's interesting. I don't know if you want me to go there, but basically you don't have to use all these I will have eaten, I have eaten, I will eat. They just kind of say like I eat, and they always contextualize it. It's you eat, it's the same word. It's just very simple. It's just very easier, simple. Huh? Very simple language.
Seems like that would lead to a lot of miscommunication, but yeah, if it works for them, I'm sure it works.
Past, if you want to emphasize that it's in the past that you ate, you just say past I eat. That's like the word nanti, I think it is, for past. And then
I like it.
Yeah, saya makan, I eat. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Yeah. Past cool. I eat.
Very cool.
And then after that, I go to Vietnam, to Hanoi.
Okay, so wait a minute. So let's back up for a second. What made you decide Vietnam? Like, you're in Bali, you're dating this girl, your friends, they left, or they went back to the States, or what happened? What made you decide, okay, Vietnam?
Yeah, my friends were going to Vietnam, and that was kind of on the agenda. They knew that they wanted to travel somewhere else next. And I didn't know. I was in love with that place. I was like, I don't know if I ever want to leave. The beautiful beaches, it's just like amazing. Everything's like so inexpensive, and everyone's actually pretty friendly for the most part. Yeah, very islander, very, very islander vibe. Like everyone's chill and just, I really liked the atmosphere a lot. And so I didn't
that's good to hear your perspective on Bali, which is actually the norm. Like everybody I talk to loves Bali. My experience in Bali was just, just not good, but I'm the odd case out, right? Like this is the norm. People love Bali and have a great time. So
I loved it. I would go back for sure.
All right. So you head to Vietnam.
Yep. Head to Vietnam, to Hanoi in the north. And yeah, so I arrive in Vietnam, and I found a hotel. I believe my friends had some issues with their visas. I also arrived in Vietnam before they did. My friends had some issues with their visas. And so I didn't really have anything to do. So I found a poker room, And even though the trip was supposed to be a break from poker, basically what led me to staying here was I found poker in Vietnam. And that started in Hanoi. And actually, a lot of the people I met back then, which was now 2.5, maybe coming up on 3 years ago, a lot of those people I met that very first day, I know them today on Phu Quoc Island, part of the same business in this poker room. You know, it's kind of
Really
cool. Yeah.
Wait, you mean they're regular players in the same casino you're playing in now?
Players or even management, because this Phu Quoc poker room is on the newer side. It's less than a year old.
Oh, okay.
So they hired a bunch of people from the south, from the north, from everywhere, and a lot of the people I've met along the way, I'm like, I know them. But,
oh, wait, that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah, working on this island.
So your friends eventually got to Hanoi. You were just visiting Hanoi for a while, playing some poker. Like what was it like when you and how did you decide? Because you and I met in Ho Chi Minh City in the south, which I prefer a lot more than Hanoi, especially for dating. Because it just tends to be there a little. I feel like in the south, in Ho Chi Minh City, and tell me what you think, but my experience is that women there are a little bit more. They're a little bit more modern, a little bit more westernized, but they're not just in the good ways. Like they're still traditional, and they're still sweet and kind of more feminine and things like I prefer than women in the West, but they're a little bit more open to Westerners. I feel like it's easier to date there than it is for me anyway in Hanoi. What was your experience between the two?
I mean, this is really general, and it's you got to be careful not to overgeneralize, but in general, I would say the North, in my experience at least, tends to be more conservative, and the South tends to be more liberal, more open, more that's basically the way I would put it. I would put like the North is like the New York of the U.S., which I guess this isn't liberal and conservative, but like in some ways the North is kind of like the New York, and then the South is kind of like California. I kind of, with temperature, with how busy things are and crowded streets, and how people are kind of like stuck in their own thing, it comes off as cold. People will say people in the North are cold. People say New York
a little bit more closed to just meeting new people and having new experiences. And
yeah, exactly. And just like this, in the same way, people who come to the U.S. would say like people from New York are rude, people from California are chill, and let's smoke some weed, bro. Like there's like a sort of stereotype. There's a sort of stereotype that exists, and it's true. That's kind of tends to be a little bit true here too.
So so talk to me a little bit about your dating experiences in Vietnam and how that compared to I assume before and after your marriage in Idaho, you did some dating back in the States, right?
Okay, a little bit, yeah. Let me think. I think for me, I tend to be not like extremely shy when it comes to dating, but also not extremely, overbearing or really, really confident, or whatever word you want to use. And for me, I really like it because with my love of language, basically I can communicate at a pretty superficial level in their language, which makes it kind of fun and like kind of innocent. It's tough to come off as like over the top. And I just feel like it's easier for both of like myself and her, whoever it is, to come off as likable on a first impressions, because, you're not going to get some long rant about how like all guys are assholes, or I don't know, like there are certain things that, because of the language barrier in the beginning, that prevent certain dynamics from occurring that would happen in a US to US foreign, or native English speaker. Even if they speak a fairly high level, like people don't realize, like if they speak 60% to 70%, a lot of things change. The ability to communicate back and forth is still hindered to some level.
For sure. Let me pause here, though. I want to go back to something you said, because I think this is like a huge pro tip for anyone that wants to date anywhere in Asia. And I certainly have not done this like you have. I've maybe dabbled in it, but I think it's a big pro tip. I think your whole concept of when or even before you get to a country, maybe, or when you get to the country, learn some conversational words in their language, show some effort. I mean, that's got to go a long way to helping you both on the dating apps or just in person. If you're meeting somebody and approaching somebody that you see on the street or in a club or anything, and you can speak a little, you show them that you can speak a little bit of their language. I think that's got to improve your chances dramatically with the women that you're talking to there. Do you think, I'm sure that's helped you a ton. What, would you agree?
Yeah. In my experience, I literally went from, I was learning the language anyway because I liked it, and it just proved to be a really valuable tool in dating too. Because my first experience, for several reasons, it's one that you're showing the effort, shows that you're interested in what they speak, what they the lady, she wants you to also have interest in her life and what she is, and
for sure.
not just be some guy walking around only. I mean, if she speaks English, I think it wouldn't be much of an issue, but it really helps with that connection if she doesn't speak English perfectly. And in my experience, in the first month, when I spoke pretty much nothing, I had almost nothing for dates, and they were very mediocre dates. And then
this is in Vietnam.
Immediately once I hit that simple conversational level, it was like that, like everything changed. And I don't know, it could just be by chance. I'm a poker player, so I don't have like a big enough sample size to say it was exactly because of that, but it definitely looked like it. It definitely looked like it.
That's interesting. And I think here's what I'll take from that. First of all, I do think it's a pro tip. I would say any guy who wants to date in any foreign country, anywhere in the world, just learn a handful of words even, and it shows the effort. You will improve your chances. So that's one takeaway. A second one I would say, because see, I didn't take that approach. I've dated a lot now in different countries in Asia, and I've been remiss because I've spent time in so many different countries. I feel like as soon as I start feeling like I'm spending more time in one country and I should learn some of this language, then I shift and I'm spending time in a different country and it's a different language. So I've never really invested the time and the effort to do it. So I haven't done that. But one thing that I've noticed in Vietnam specifically, it wasn't until my third visit to Vietnam that I actually had success dating there. And the only reason I kept trying and going back and back and back is because the first two times they weren't good. And I was like, the dating's not great here, like it can be in other parts of, especially Southeast Asia. Mm-hmm. But I had a friend that I'd met in the airport in Saigon the first time I went. And that guy stayed in touch with me on WhatsApp. And he was so insistent that the dating in Vietnam was amazing. And he kept saying, you got to give it another try. So I don't know what it was. It wasn't me learning the language, but by the third visit that I went there, something had clicked. And I had just gotten comfortable enough with the way things were, with how women responded there, which is a little bit different than the Philippines, which is what I was used to. Anyway, it clicked. And now it's pretty much on the top of my list. It's my favorite place to date there in Vietnam, but anyway, or in Asia.
Yeah, I could see why. I mean, for my experience, it would be between Philippines and Vietnam as far as Asia.
So let me ask you this. While you've been dating there the last, say, couple of years, and did you go home at all during COVID, or you've been there the whole time?
Yeah. So January 18, I go to Bali. December 2018, I go from Bali to Vietnam. From December to before Thanksgiving. I wanted to go back, and I'd been away for a while, and go for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then I come back to Vietnam on February, March. It was actually March
of which year?
2020.
2020. So then that's right where the lockdowns, March of 2020, is right where the lockdowns in the United States are beginning, and pretty much worldwide.
Exactly.
So you're back in Vietnam at that point.
Yeah, so I'm back in Vietnam in Saigon, and then I'm there for maybe 3 or 4 months, and then I come to Phu Quoc Island. Okay,
so then you're in Phu Quoc, and then and what? Mm-hmm. So So this whole time you've been, the last few years, spending so much time over there. And if this is too personal, you don't have to answer it. But are you funding yourself through profits that you're making while you're playing poker? Are you successful enough as a poker player that's funding your lifestyle?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I had plenty of money when I first went to Bali, and this maybe I shouldn't go into too much detail, but I had an investment with someone really close to me that I really trusted, that basically just refused to pay the full portion of their end of what they owed me when the entire thing was said and done.
Oh,
And
wow.
it costed me a lot of money,
Dang.
because at the time, I mean, as a poker player, you're always playing games that are within your like risk tolerance. If you only have, let's say $10,000, you shouldn't be buying in for $1,000. Like, just things could go pretty bad, pretty unlucky, and you just lose all your money.
Yeah.
And so I had been, working it up and had the assumption that I had all of this money that was going to be paid to me as per the contract that we had. And I was playing like some $10,000 events, and and so the losses that I accrued, they sound really big, but actually it was like pretty standard, and I was okay with it. Like, I knew what I was risking, and I knew that I had all this other money on the side. But then when I wasn't paid, I was like, "Ooh, this is bad." And
I've had
so
stuff like that. Yeah.
Vietnam was actually even better for me, because when I'm in the US and playing poker, my rent, my food, my entertainment, whatever it's going to be, it's going to add up to probably at least 4 times what it is here. I mean, like, I pay like 300.
Yeah. Show me where you're at right now. Look at this resort. Look at this pool area. Wait a minute. I lost the camera there.
Yeah, one sec. There we go.
Okay. So what is this? What kind of is this? Not a hotel. Where are you right now?
It's kind of like a complex of little mini houses. I mean, they're not like big houses, these things.
Sure. But it's beautiful.
But,
the pool area looked nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's super clean too, which is like, that's going to be one tough thing to find in a lot of these places in Asia, that they get really dirty really fast. There's like, your room gets cleaned 3 times a month, maybe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they have a really nice gym. I'm so surprised, like, because it's a smaller-ish place, and I'm really surprised the gym is extremely nice, like extremely clean, new equipment, pretty much no one in there. They have you can plug your music in. Yeah.
And do you have so you're not there alone, right? So tell me a little bit about your dating situation. For a while there, you were single in Vietnam dating, and then tell me first of all, tell me how that was to when you were single and dating. Were you looking for a relationship, or were you just like, hey, I'm a young guy, I'm just going to date casually and just enjoy my time here? What were you looking for when you were dating as a single guy in Vietnam?
Okay, so in the beginning, I was just kind of trying to have fun. I mean, I was just trying to like meet new girls, and I went from, I was like, I became like pretty promiscuous, I guess, for a short while, where I was just like meeting lots of girls, having a lot of fun, just kind of like overall my entire lifestyle was pretty irresponsible. Like, I was like partying a lot, and I just like really just very carefree, and it was fun. But it just is not really like a sustainable lifestyle for me. I mean,
Sure.
And I ended up wanting to find a girl, yeah, for at least a longer period of time, someone who like I actually really liked as a person. We got along well, and that's eventually what ended up happening. Was I found my girlfriend now. She's sleeping in that room.
All right.
Yeah, she was an art teacher.
She's an art teacher, is that what you said?
Originally, yeah. When I first met her, she was an art teacher.
Okay, nice.
Nice. Because she was kind of struggling. Like, the salaries here are really low, and especially that salary was extremely low. And so because I knew so many people in the poker industry here already, I was like, why don't you just learn to deal cards? I mean, I learned to deal cards in the US, and that's the first job I ever had. And I knew how much those dealers were making.
Because of tips, especially. Yeah, right.
Because of tips, especially. And I mean, the entire ecosystem just kind of brings in a little bit more money than like teaching art.
Sure.
And she wasn't like, she liked it, but I didn't get the impression that like, oh, it's her passion, she wants to do this her whole life or anything. And so I taught her about, dealing cards, and she got trained and eventually got a job fairly quickly. At the same place we met, actually. The same place.
Yeah. Victorious,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. at that
And
little
so
poker room inside.
I remember meeting her, but I assumed you met her there playing poker, but no. So tell me how you guys met.
Yeah, just like dating app. We just met on a dating app, and that's actually, yeah, that's how we met. And then I just started spending more and more time with her. You know, since I'm playing poker all the time, I'm explaining to her what it is, and that's how she kind of got introduced to it, and explained, you know, you could make this salary, which is probably more than double, around double or more than double what you make now, just doing a different job, and I could help you get hired. And so now she's doing that here in Phu Quoc as well.
Oh, is she? Nice. There's so many different, types of people that date in Asia, right? And you're on the younger end of that scale by far. I'm 51. A lot of guys are older than me that come over to Asia to date, or certainly over a lot of people over 40, 45 at least. But you're 25, almost 26. So what is it that you're looking for in dating over there? And like, are you looking for marriage? Are you wanting to have kids? Those kinds of questions I'm curious about.
Yeah. Marriage, definitely not. Kids, definitely not. Not looking for any of that. I'm looking for something very, very like laid back, very, very, I don't know, with my marriage philosophy now is that it doesn't really make sense to like make some official pledge to be with someone your entire life if you already know that's kind of bullshit anyways. There's always going to be something, no matter who the couple is and how devoted they are, there's always going to be something that could happen that could end the relationship. And so for me, you know, I would like to have like a very authentic relationship that isn't built on like some social, because I feel like there's a lot of social pressure that keeps marriages together for sure.
Yeah.
Even in my experience, I was young, where it's like the most acceptable time to get married and divorce because you're still young. And even so, I feel that social pressure. What will these people think? Well, I'm divorced. There's like a stigma with it.
And I don't know about Vietnam divorce laws, but I certainly know about American divorce laws because I've gone through a nasty divorce in America. And so I think there are a lot of guys that share your sentiment about marriage in general, where they want love, they want commitment, they want intimacy, and they want it to be organic and based on, hey, while we're in love and if that can last forever, that's a fantastic thing. Great. But why involve, a lot of guys feel this, like, why involve the government and have the government give a stamp of approval on our love? We don't need that. And in the United States, of course, and in many first world countries, the divorce laws are so scary for men that it's just going to punish men. If things don't go well, the man is going to lose half or more than half of everything he has, maybe even lose kids if there are kids involved and get those taken from him and lose a lot of his rights to being able to be an active father in the kid's life. So I know there's a lot of guys that are listening that probably share a lot of those sentiments. What would you say are like some of the biggest differences between your experiences dating in the United States versus dating in Asia or in Vietnam, since that's where you've been the most?
Yeah. There is difference in the dating culture, or even like male versus female normative behavior, like what's expected from the males versus what's expected from the females. So I'll just dive into it. I'll just give you a bunch of little things I've noticed. In many ways, the dating culture here is kind of a lot like the old school US style, which is like the man is the gentleman. He's supposed to be like gallant, provider, the female, whereas in the US that's changed a little bit, where women are a lot more independent in the US than they will be in Vietnam. And sure. Men are expected, and because men are expected to, because this is like a crucial role within society that men are expected to fulfill, like money, socioeconomic help, assistance, whatever it may be. It means that it's that guys with more money do end up tending to, you see that common situation that probably a lot of Americans who have preconceived notions of dating in Asia have, which is like that some like really ultra rich old guy can come here and like have like a 20-year-old, which is like true, but at the same time, that's going to be like probably not a long-term fulfilling relationship for for either of them. But it's all a big spectrum, like
Sure.
in some way, if you're completely broke and you have to rely on her paycheck, you're probably not going to be able to find, an amazing girl. You might, I mean, that would be cool. It's great for whatever guy is in that situation. Great. But it's,
Sure.
It's like part of like the practical side and then the idealistic side, which is that you're going to have to probably fulfill some sort of role. I had a girl here. Let me give you an example. I had
Sure.
a girl
Sure.
here I was seeing that was one of like the most attractive women I had ever seen in my life, but I just couldn't. I had the money at the time. I had money to give what she wanted, but it just made me feel so bad. Like she was just using me. Like she would just like everywhere we ate would be like the most expensive place. Like in Vietnam,
But she just like really expected it. She just really wanted it all the time, and
she
was
would say
too
little
into
things.
it, maybe.
Yeah, and she would say little things that really would just get under my skin about like how like I was already doing it, and then she would talk about how like she deserves this, and like she just like she had herself like elevated so high, like she would treat the staff kind of not so well. It just stuck for me because like she was so attractive. I really wanted to be with her, but I was like, I just can't do this. This is toxic. Her entire personality was a little bit too toxic for me. And so you'll find girls like that, and then you'll find girls that are, they don't care a thing about money. They really want the connection. They really want, if you'll find both. You'll find both.
What's interesting about that, I agree, and I feel like the longer I've spent in Vietnam, the more I find that the women really don't care as much about that. But then, yeah, you find some that do. I'm in Bangkok right now, and it reminds me because I've been here before, and I've spent quite a bit of time in Thailand, dating in different areas. And Bangkok, to me, is more money focused. The women are more focused on money, and yet when you get out of Bangkok, it's not so much that way. So my experience is dating in other parts of Thailand, where Chiang Mai, Krabi, Phuket, the women seem a lot more down to earth, a lot more genuine, a lot more easygoing about the whole thing. But man, the pressure, and maybe just because the cost of living here in Bangkok is higher, but it certainly seems. I would compare Bangkok more to the United States in terms of the way women are about money. But in Vietnam, I didn't find it as much that way. Like they seem like like in every situation, I think women they're hardwired genetically, DNA, to like look for providers and guys that have resources and are successful. That speaks to their DNA. That speaks to they're attracted to that anywhere you go. But it's just not nearly as much that way I've found in Vietnam than it is here in Bangkok. I tend to not like dating in Bangkok, but I've been working here and I got to get some work done. And then I'm going to bail. I'm going to go to Phuket and I'm going to go to, Chiang Mai and spend some time in other places. What age range do you prefer to date? And then tell me why. Like, what's an ideal age range for a young guy like you to date? Or is it just pretty much, since you're young, any age range 18 and up is fine?
I would say like for long term, I probably wouldn't date someone like so much older than myself. Like being 26, I probably wouldn't date someone turning 26. I probably wouldn't date someone like 35 for like a long term. But I mean, like if I'm kind of just exploring, meeting new girls, seeing who's who, learning about them, like having fun, then yeah, I would just say like 18 to 35. I mean,
that's a big range.
Yeah, I mean, and it depends on the personalities for sure. I mean, I would actually probably find myself like dating exactly like a 35-year-old before like an exactly 18-year-old, because the level of maturity, just from a long-term perspective, the level of maturity and the 18, 19 usually tend to be like really, really, really immature. And and I actually I don't think I've dated someone. I'm trying to think. 20, 25. I actually can't even speak to that because I think the youngest I've dated is, I don't even know a lot of their ages actually. I just realized. I would say like 20, like my girlfriend now is 26, 27. She's a little bit older than I am, and yeah, it's fine. So
Which
I don't
no,
have.
I actually
I
like
guess
that's your situation right now, because it's so opposite. Everybody thinks, well, one of the main benefits of going to Asia is to date lots younger, but here's a young guy dating somebody a year older. So
yeah,
we're here to
they
kind
look.
of break some of those misconceptions anyway. So that's good.
You could find a 30-year-old that looks 20, like a really, really good-looking 22-year-old. I mean, it really superficially, when you first meet someone, it comes down to looks. You want them to be attractive, and
At the beginning, yeah, yeah.
of course, like when you first meet them, that's what you're looking for, is like to meet some very attractive girls. And age, man, people live such healthy lifestyles here. Like you go to Ho Chi Minh City, and anyone, you've been there, any girl who's between the ages of 20 and 30, she's going to be like not ugly, like almost any of them. So when you're, as a man, like when you're driving around as a guy who likes girls, I should say, you're driving around and you just see the whole street is just packed with like very attractive women, because they're all healthy. They're all
Yeah.
in like, and they tend to be like very, very happy people here. So
Yeah.
everyone's just like really attractive, really happy, very healthy. They have like family values. That's what I'm looking for. They have really strong family values. So they're just very, very great people, I guess.
Well, and yeah, and when you get to know them, even if they're an 8, 9 on the, on kind of like the looks scale,
Yeah.
it has shocked me in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City specifically, how many girls I've met that are just wildly attractive like that and are sweet, and just like they don't even know. They don't think they're that special. They don't think anything's that different about them. And why is that? Because like you said, if you just walk around, you drive around on the streets of Saigon, you ride a taxi around, you just look around, they are beautiful. Women are literally everywhere. The only place in the world I can compare Saigon to like that is I spent some time in the Ukraine, and I was there in a city called Odessa, which
Okay.
is kind of known for being a touristy area. And there's a lot of scammers there. There's a lot of women there that are only looking for money and to scam guys. So it has its own reputation. But like, if you just go to a mall or a park in Odessa, Ukraine, and you just look around at like just the average person walking around, it blows your mind. It's like nothing you've ever seen before in the United States. It's just almost every woman that walks by looks like a supermodel, like her figure and her face, like just ridiculously attractive. And to me, I feel like Saigon is the same way. Like that's my experience there. It's just they're everywhere.
Really? Yeah. And they're, it's like being surrounded by beautiful women.
So let's talk for a second about what do you think? Again, so you've already mentioned this, that and guys that are looking for any kind of a long-term relationship, we look way beyond the physical. We want somebody who's nice and sweet and fun and has some intelligence and all these other things that are important for a relationship. We know that. But in the beginning, like you said, we're visual, men are visual, so we're attracted to the physical at first. So just on physical, rating 1 to 10 back in the United States, what do you feel like you normally like? What kind of women do you feel like you normally dated, and how many steps up that scale from 1 to 10 do you feel like you were able to jump up, or in terms of your dating in Vietnam compared to the United States?
Looking back to my experience in the US, with maybe one exception, maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, every girl that I dated, I found very attractive, or like had a thing with. I didn't really date that many, but and then in Vietnam, I would just say one scale up for sure though, but like a full for me, that's
a full point up versus
point up. Yeah, not so much higher. At the same time, I did kind of get into this more serious relationship quickly enough. I mean, it wasn't like immediately. Like I said, I played around, had fun before, but so I don't really know like what. I don't have, again, that big of a sample to say, but yeah, I would say for one step up for sure, like a full step Full.
And as we go through the Dating in Asia show and interview a lot of people and explore this with a lot of videos, it might be that we find out. I think what we might find out is that young guys do so well already in the United States that they don't level up as much as an older guy. Like older guys in the United States may it's harder and harder for older guys in the United States to date really fit, super attractive women because they're going to date older women for the most part, and it's hard. It's just very rare for women over 35 years old to be super fit, super attractive, and all that. They become more and more rare. So I wonder if that's what we'll find out, is that it's the older guys who are able to jump up 2 or 3 notches on the scale in terms of who they date in Asia versus back in the United States. But younger guys are already doing well, so they only jump up 1 notch, something like that.
Also, something to consider in Vietnam, already ingrained in the culture, is like it's normal for foreigner or not foreigner in Vietnam for a girl to date someone much older.
Right.
So that already, just that dynamic exists, whether the guy's extremely like normal or extremely rich, like the dating age gaps. It's not as much of like almost in the US, it's almost a taboo even, depending. I mean, like 18 and 50, I can see the taboo. Yeah. But I mean, like here, it's just, I remember seeing at Victorious, there would be the older Vietnamese guys would like flirt with them. And I would always like have this thing I would watch and be like, oh my God, what is she going to do? Because in the US, it would come off as almost like what's
creepy.
the word?
Yeah.
What word did you use?
I said creepy.
Yeah. Creepy, or even like they would almost call it assault at some point. Like he never like slapped her ass or something, but she would like smile and get shy and like acted all cute and said thank you, like in a real way. And I'm just like, that would never happen. It's never happen.
Different universe for sure.
It's just the dating culture overall, like you said, is just different. And so I think that's the other thing. Is so especially with you, like even my girlfriend, when she first met you, she's like, no, you're strong, you look handsome, like it's normal. It's normal. Like if you were to come and flirt with some girl, she's going to be flattered. She's never going to think you're creepy. I mean, your approach obviously matters, but for the most part, yeah, it's a good thing about the culture coming from a guy's perspective.
Sure. But I know still, as a guy who's 51 years old, I know that if I'm looking for something long-term, which I am, and a lot of guys are, I'm going to have a much better chance of that relationship working long-term if she's a little closer to my age. I don't tend to date super, super young when I'm over there, even if I could, just because where's that going to go? Like at some point, there's just going to be too much difference in the age. They're going to, as I get older, they're going to realize they're still just barely coming into their prime. So for me, there's a limit to how much younger that I will date when I'm looking for something serious. What do you think the type of women that like your girlfriend there, or the women you dated before you were in the relationship with her, what do they value the most when they're looking for a relationship? Like, what are the things that they care about most there in Vietnam, the women that you've met from your experience?
Well, remember, one girl was status and money. One girl,
yeah, she was working on she wanted.
But no, another difference in the culture. This will lead me to answer what you're saying. Is that the guys here, they play around a lot. They'll have a family, and if they have some money, then they have side chicks that they're supporting and seeing on the side.
Really normal there, yeah.
It's very normal, and a lot of the girls they don't like that, even though it's normal it happens a lot. That's what I mean by normal. Like, I mean, the girls in the culture really don't like it. So one thing they see a positive about the foreigners, the Westerners, let's say, is that they think we have more loyalty and faithfulness, and as far as like fidelity, I guess. But I don't know what word to use. Yeah, and so they see that, and so that's one thing they find like really attractive. But on the other hand, what they find less attractive is the same thing I said earlier, how the Western culture sees the woman as being more independent than in the past. It causes that, caretaker role to, if you don't have that sort of conception in your mind, you come off as a little bit like cold, like individualist. You live separate lives, and they're very family oriented, like we talked about. So they want to, they want to stick. That's been like one area that I've been struggling in my personal relationship, is like, she just wants to be, joined at the hip, like very, very close all the time. And
yeah, even when you love and care about somebody, you sometimes need some guide time or some space to yourself, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You just need to kind of be able to like still do your own thing, live your own life, and still have someone to be with, to come back to, to spend time with sometimes. But in general, it's part of the culture. Is, even I've talked to a lot of the guys here, because I've kind of tried to get some like guy advice, like from some of the guys here, and they say, oh yeah, that's one big difference in like Vietnamese dating culture and Western culture, is like, you'll see the guy's always going to be like saying like, have you eaten yet? Like, that's a big thing. Like if you don't ask if they've eaten yet, then it's like, you can feed. In my mind, I'm literally like, you can feed yourself. Like, I'll give you $5 or $10. It's plenty of,
Yeah.
You can buy great food for that, for the day. Like, I'll help you in that way. But like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if it's me or if that's just normal. I don't
No,
really...
I think I've noticed the same thing. So first of all, I think there's two things we're talking about, but they're related. So it's like, it's that cultural, in a lot of parts of Asia, it's the same way, where once I've been in a relationship, as soon as we're committed and exclusive and not dating anyone else, and we delete the dating apps, and the whole thing is we're trying to make something work, they expect to be, like you said, joined at the hip together 24/7. And I mean, at first that's, that can be nice for a little bit, but like I need my guy time. I need some space. I need to be able to have time to or a lot of times I'm just working a lot. And if I'm working a lot, I worry sometimes, like, if some of the girls I've dated, like they're in between jobs or whatever, if they don't have a lot going on, then I feel this like, dang, like, do I need to entertain? Like, what's she going to do all the time while I'm working, or if I just want to, watch an MMA fight or something online or whatever. So yeah, that's a challenge. But then I think that the part about like, where you talked about them kind of expecting you to take care of them and to like be aware of their needs. Have you eaten today? And like that kind of thing. So I think women, again, across the board, anywhere in any culture, they want men to show effort, right? They want to know that they're special to you, right? And the way that usually gets communicated to them, or the way they want to, I mean, there's that 5 love language book in the United States that a lot of people have read, but a lot of women, even if their top love language isn't acts of service, like still they want to feel taken care of. They want to see that a guy is willing to go to effort to show them that he cares about her. And I think in the Vietnamese culture, that's one of the big ways women expect that effort to be shown, is that you're asking, whether she's eaten, is she tired, and what does she want to do that night, and like just spending more time with them and like taking care of them in that way. They expect that as a part of the way that the guy shows his love, or shows that he's giving effort to prove that he cares about her, right?
You're exactly right, because if something goes awry in that category, she'll say, what, you don't love me? You don't love me? and from my perspective, that's really annoying, because like, of all the things I do put into it, it's like that goes overlooked because I maybe didn't ask, something very superficial, very doesn't seem that important. And
yeah,
it's interesting, but also
it can come off as needy sometimes. Not with every, but some women, it can come off as needy.
It definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you see as, like, if you were speaking to people that are considering, that have never dated anywhere in Asia, right? But they're considering coming from Canada, Australia, US, England, whatever, some first world country, the Western countries, they're considering coming over to Asia to date, or specifically to Vietnam to date. What would you say is one of the biggest challenges for Westerners that want to come and date there? What's one of the hardest things about it?
Okay. So let's say they're coming to Vietnam.
Sure.
And I would say the first step is to respect like the person. By that I mean, like, it's really easy to place like them, and like that's the thing, is we have this way of distinguishing between like Western and Asian, let's say, and we kind of have our own preconceived notions of how they are, and it causes us to kind of just put them into a category, I guess, and assume a lot. And like, people say like Western culture really like fetishizes Asian women, and I think it's natural. First of all, I think that's natural. Like, first of all, I mean, they're very attractive, and that's one thing that's just going to happen naturally. But I think you can do that without even noticing you're doing it, and that's what I did when I was first year. Is like, I thought, they're all just shy and like, but really when it comes down to it, like they're a person with their own experiences, their own upbringing. They have, and it actually, I think, opens the door to even a greater experience where like this is a really cool person. And then you can take that sort of like uniqueness that you find in someone, and there's just so much to learn about them. And then the other thing I would say is the language. So the first thing I would say is like recognizing the individual, which is like the
respecting the individual.
Yeah, respecting and recognizing the person as an individual. And then the next thing I would say is the language. That depends, because my friend is dating online dating, actually, a girl from Vietnam, and they get along really well. Like they hang out on the phone like every day a lot. And
oh, wow.
And there's no language barrier because she studied in the US. So
okay.
But for the most part, yeah, when you come here and you're looking for a girl, I would say.
So you're saying, so we're still talking about one of the biggest challenges for Westerners that come and date here. You're saying just having that language barrier is one of the biggest ones.
That's another one, yeah. So having the language barrier, and there are ways to get past it. It's fun. You find new ways to communicate. Like it's really having a conversation with someone who doesn't speak perfect English. It becomes a new skill, like being able to get your idea to them in a way that they can actually understand it. Patience for me was patience, because like I said, the first month here was like nothing. It was super, super dry as far as like finding dates. It was just like I couldn't really find much at all. So for me also, it was like some patience. I would say
don't be too quick to judge it.
Yeah, don't be too quick to judge. I can't think of much more than that. I would say those are probably the three.
No, those are
most important.
Those are fantastic. Those will help people a lot. Do you have any crazy dating stories from dating in Asia at all? Anywhere in Asia? Like, have you had any crazy dates, or just anything that's happened that was a pitfall? Or
yeah, I have some kind of crazy stuff. How popular will this podcast become, though? I had one girl that I met who very quickly fell very hard for me. And she was quite a bit older than me. I think she was 27, 28. And she, within like 2 weeks of knowing me, a week, 2 weeks, she'd never had a tattoo in her life. And she gets a tattoo of my name with the infinity sign right on her breast.
It's Cody forever.
And she had told me, so I thought she was kidding. She had told me she wanted to get that.
Wait,
and I was
on her boob, or just above? Holy shit!
Yeah, it's like, yeah, she wears like and she told me she wanted to get it, and of course I was like, oh, don't do that. And she had told me, and I said, why? And she's, oh yeah,
she had already done it by the time she told you. It was already done.
Yeah. She told me she was going to do it. I told her she shouldn't. She asked me why. I said, I'm not here for very long. I'm not forever. Tattoos are literally forever. And she's like, I want the memory to last forever. That's what she said.
Wow.
And then when I saw it go up on her social media, I was just like, I felt overwhelmed. Like I felt kind of guilty in some ways, even though I told her not to, like specifically told her not to. But I felt like that was just a mistake. That was a mistake. And yeah, that was one of the craziest things that ever happened.
Dang. That's a big one.
I mean, there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened with the girl from Indonesia.
Oh, really?
Like
any highlight, anything stand out? Like,
she was like, at some points she would be like on the run from her dad, who's like basically has the ability to track her. She comes from like an extremely strict Muslim family, and she's not Muslim at all.
And it's so she's kind of rebellious in their eyes.
Yeah, and it's like a big deal, bigger deal than like, you know, the cultures we come from, like even maybe like 3 times that. Like,
Wow.
she has to be that religion, like, and but he's so powerful too in government that like she would be changing phones and SIMs, and like I'm pretty sure she had like fake passports and stuff. She would travel. Like she met me in Vietnam. Actually, she actually
Oh, wow.
yeah, she came to Vietnam, and like we kind of hung out for a while. This was a while back, and I'm
getting a theme. I'm starting to hear a theme develop here. So, you know, Cody's in a relationship right now. He's taken, but man, Cody, if you're ever on the market again, I'm going to warn these ladies, leave you alone, because they're going to get addicted, and they're going to go crazy and start putting tattoos and traveling from other countries to find you.
The second girl wasn't actually there really specifically to see me. She was just like already traveling in the area, and we met up. But yeah, that first situation was. I hope she doesn't see this. Actually, like I don't want to cause her any like emotional pain or anything. But it was. I've had a lot of pretty crazy stuff from, you know, like you said, coming from Idaho, pretty boring ho hum town, and just like a lot of experiences. I'm definitely glad I came to Asia.
Let me ask you this. What's one of the coolest, do you have any cool travel adventure type stories that don't have anything to do with women that you've dated there? Just not dating stories, but just travel stories or adventures that you've had.
Let me think, because right when you asked me the question, I think like my entire experience has been a travel story, traveling to this island, seeing different places.
Playing poker for a living. Yeah. It's pretty epic stuff.
It's fun. Yeah. It's definitely, I'm glad I wouldn't choose any other thing right now. Maybe if something more lucrative came up in the future, but like for the most part, I enjoy where I'm at right now. Travel stories. I mean, nothing like, maybe nothing really podcast worthy, but the entire trip, like if I could have just brought a GoPro with me and like just documented all the fun things that have happened, it would have been pretty cool. But it's just like every day is, you know, it's just the whole lifestyle is different. You know, I wake up here and I drive a motorbike into the city where I'm going to buy my food for the day, and that's going to cost me, you know, a few dollars. And everyone gets around mostly by motorbike. If you buy a vehicle here, it's going to cost you like triple the US price.
If you're buying a car, yeah.
You buy a car, yeah. So I mean, everyone gets around here. Pretty much everyone by motorbike, unless you want to flash like a $50,000 US car that you end up paying $150,000 for, and are only going to be able to sell it for like 40, because that extra money goes to the government. It's taxed. So for the most part, it makes no sense to drive a car here. So you drive everywhere by motorbike, which is different, you know. Yeah, just the whole experience. It's fun. It's different.
But I've kind of developed this idea around a ranking system, and I want to ask you some questions. Okay. And I want to have you essentially rank yourself in terms of certain aspects of your value in the dating marketplace, right? So, because a lot of what I want to do is I want to show on the Dating in Asia show how the concept of taking something that is really common and moving it to where it's super rare changes its value, just like in any economy, just like in any marketplace, right?
Yeah.
And I think about like how many guys I'm friends with in the United States that are, say, between 35 and 55, that are over 6 feet tall, have excellent careers, make 6 figures, well into the 6 figures, confident, charismatic, attractive guys that are single, that are having a really hard time finding anyone that's attractive that will date them, because the marketplace they're in, they're too common, and the kind of thing they're looking for in that marketplace is just too rare. And so a lot of what we want. So anyway, so I have this thing. Do this experiment with me if you would, okay? Unless you have something you want to comment on that first.
Oh yeah, real quick. Actually, I would say like this isn't for your show or anything. Like it would be like an easy, based on what I've discovered of the culture here. Like it would be move to Asia for sure. I mean, like you're gonna.
That is for the show. That's what the show's about.
I know, and like I'm just telling you like my experience, and based on what you just said, that's the only advice. The only issue would be that they would have probably such an easy time that the only reason it would ever be a bad experience is that it became such an easy time that they just like basically bit off more than they could chew, I guess. That's what I'm saying. Like other than that, like that would never be an issue here. If they're even if they're in decent shape, height is a huge thing here. Like, you know, the average, they like tall guys, and the average Vietnamese male height is just under 5'5" or 5 foot, between 5'4" and 5'5", I believe, is the average. Wow. I believe it's somewhere around there. So height is like automatically a good thing. Yeah, I would say definitely just come to Asia.
Well, we shouldn't talk too much about this because I'm going to do a whole podcast about skin color in Asia, because it's weird how big of a deal in the United States right now race is. And there's so many politics around the idea of, oh, we're such a racist, country. And yes, there are race problems in the United States. And yes, we have our history that we've got to come to grips with, because we've got a terrible history of slavery that happened in the United States, and those things are all bad and everything. But I am shocked every time. It doesn't even matter which country I'm in, almost any country in Asia that I'm in, how internally racist the country itself is, how they classify their own citizens in different classes based on how dark they are, skin colors within Thailand or whatever. Like if you're a little bit darker than other people in Thailand, you're instantly thought of as undateable or less valuable. Like it's crazy to me. So they're all using the skin whitening, and I know Vietnam is the same way. So we don't have to talk a lot about that, but yeah, just the fact that you bring something that's common, which is somebody that's Caucasian, that's tall, and that's all they are, bring them right over, and they're instantly going to level up in terms of who they can date. So, all right. So real quick, do this at the end here, and then we'll finish up. Do this experiment with me. What I want you to do is forget for a minute, if you can, about your value that you bring to the dating marketplace in Asia, and try and just put yourself back in the United States, what you knew about how things were for you to date there. Obviously, you're younger, so that helps you, but just answer these questions I'm about to ask you as if you're just living in the United States, dating in the United States. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So women value different things in general, or at least place a different value or more value on different things in men than what men value about women. And that's just, men and women are different. Even though in America, people are trying to pretend that they're all the same. So one of the biggest things that women care about, and like it or not, this is how it is money. A guy's ability to provide or to earn, right? Or does he have wealth? Can he provide? Does he earn good money? So where would you put yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 in that, if you're comfortable answering that? Again, think about like just comparing to other men in the United States in your rough age range. Where do you put yourself in terms of earning capacity, money, wealth, that kind of things? And I would say a 10 is like multi-millionaire, and a 1 is like flat ass broke, no job, he owes more than he's worth, all that kind of stuff, right?
So 5 would be like right at average.
Yeah, 5's average. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think the average American adult male earns like $52,000 a year, give or take.
Okay. And is this also for my age? Because
age appropriate. Like for your age, guys haven't hit their biggest.
They're still on their way up
careers yet. Yeah, they're still on their way up usually. Yeah.
7.5 to 8.
Okay. Let's put you. I'll put. I don't have half, so I'm gonna give you a 7. Or you want an 8? What do you think? 7 or 8?
I like 7. It feels like 8's too high, and 7.
Okay.
Yeah, 7.
So 7, and then status. Okay, so guys don't care as much about status as girls do, but it does matter to women that, like a guy's degrees, his titles, does he have exclusive access to things? Does he own a lot of things? Does he dress stylishly and have like a nice watch? Is he peers with other men that are high value, and is he accepted into social groups like that with men that are of status? Or are a lot of really attractive women attracted to him, because that gives a guy status in the United States? So where would you put yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 with status?
Overall, I would probably say four actually.
Okay. And it's good. I don't know if I would put you that low, but it's good to be humble, and it's good to, I don't think it's not something I focus on. Like I don't even dress in a way that I could dress, and I'm always casual. I'd rather have flip-flops and a t-shirt. So,
yeah.
And I don't wear my nice watch that I own ever, because I just prefer to not have something on my wrist. So I feel like I don't convey any status where I actually probably could. But
yeah, that's kind of where I feel I'm at. I mean, I really don't do too much flashy clothes, buying so much stuff, buying name brand things.
Yeah.
That's I'm on the lower end. The only reason I didn't go lower is because I think when I'm single and having fun, there is like an appearance of elevated status, because I will oftentimes be surrounded by a lot of like really attractive girls. So yeah, I would say like it flucdates from like 4 to 6, but really the clothes
I
thing.
feel like 4 is so not where you're at. You're playing poker for a living and gambling and dating in Asia and like having this amazing lifestyle. I'm at least move you to a 6, just because I think that 4 is ridiculously low.
I'm a pretty loner though. I'm a pretty loner for the most part. Like with my poker career, a lot of my time is spent like inside on a computer screen studying the game and like the theory of the game. So, but yeah, when I'm out and having fun, maybe I'll dress up, or I've gone to some clubs and stuff. Yeah. So I think 6 would be a reasonable one also.
One of my personal concerns. What's that?
I was going to say these questions are in the US, right?
Yeah, we're trying to bank it in the US, because then I want to adjust. After we get a score for you in the US, I want to say, okay, but as soon as we move you to Asia, your value instantly goes up quite a bit. But
I have
one of the things on status that I've noticed is that when I'm even just walking around during the daytime in different places in Asia, I don't want to convey a lot of status, because a lot of the stories I've heard, especially in dangerous parts of the Philippines or whatever, is that a guy is looking like he has money and he's walking around like he has money, and then he gets targeted. So I'd rather the vast majority of people, when I'm in different parts of Asia, mistake me for a backpacker that has no money. I don't want to be a target, right? So that's a little bit of a concern, and then that prevents me from conveying status that way. So I don't know.
I just to show you why I put 4 though, I'm going to tell you kind of a story that kind of makes me tell you why I'm a 4. Like when my first real trip to Vegas, where I had an extended stay there, the people hosting my Airbnb, it was this beautiful skyrise. It was really expensive. And, the guy had he was very wealthy, like extremely rich. And he had a younger girlfriend who was like more my age. He was probably like probably in his 50s. And he had a girlfriend quite young. And he just,
and this is in Las Vegas?
Yeah, this is in Las Vegas. And like, I was even more shy back then. And I just remember like, I would just do my thing, and he'd be like, "What are you doing? You're in Vegas. You're in Las Vegas. You're a professional gambler." And so he takes me out to the pool where like all these really attractive women, and he like basically like calls all of their attention and just starts making this big, and to me it sounds like way over the top, overbearing. And he just started like, he's like, "This guy is one of the best gamblers in the world." And I'm like, "No, that's not even true." I'm like, "That's not even true." He's like, "No, he makes," and just like basically like elevating my status. They somehow knew him from.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so I think like a lot of these numbers are able to fluctuate, that you're able to demonstrate a higher status than maybe even you are. People who buy clothes that they can't even afford and they sit in the car, things like that. So that's kind of why I put myself as a 4. Deep down, like I really don't dress nice for the most part. I spent a lot of time alone studying poker theory and things like that. So,
all right, we'll settle on a 5. We'll settle on a 5.
5 or 6 is fine too.
Okay, so what about this now? Rank yourself in terms of, obviously these are just your own opinion of yourself, but still, I want to know where you feel like you would fit in terms of when we're talking about a person's value they bring to a relationship marketplace. Okay. Then other things come into play, like personality. So let's talk about scale from 1 to 10. What do you think about your personality in terms of, and when I say personality, I'm talking about like, is a person fun to be around? Are they chill? Are they, positive, happy, adventurous, grateful, all that kind of stuff? Just are they a fun personality?
Yeah. 7.
Okay. Give you a 7 there. That's, again, I still think being pretty humble, but that's all right. And then what about when we talk about the next one? It's again, a scale from 1 to 10, your character. And when I talk about character, I'm talking about things like honesty, loyalty,
Nine.
integrity. Like, is the person humble? Are they respectful to other people? How do they treat? You mentioned this earlier in the conversation. How does a person treat people that cannot possibly help them, like strangers that they have nothing to do with, that can't do anything for them? Are they still kind to those people? Are they selfless in general, or are they selfish? That kind of thing.
I'm a 9
Character.
there. I'm a 9.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay. And then last but not least, this one's a kind of a combined, it's really a combination of two things. One is physical looks, and number 2 is masculinity. So physical looks, including face and figure, and then masculinity, thinking of like, is a person assertive, confident, strong, a leader, driven? Does he have a purpose? Like, all these things kind of make a man masculine in terms of having those masculine traits. So if you were to combine masculinity and your physical, your looks, your face, your body, all of those things combined into one scale from 1 to 10.
Okay. That also fluctuates because like I can get out of shape and then I can get back into shape. But yeah, I would say at my highest, I would be probably an 8, probably at my highest. And then at my lowest, I would probably be around a 6. The masculinity side is like I said, I'm kind of a loner, so I don't tend to be like confrontational or leader. I kind of just don't fall into that category as much. But yeah, I mean, I can get myself in pretty good shape and I'm not ugly. So yeah, I would say 7.
So we'll take the middle of those. We'll do 7 on that. And now, so this is my way of thinking of this. So what let's add those up. So you're 7, 5, 7, 9, 7. So 3 7s is 21. You're 35 is what you gave yourself out of 50. So if we multiply 35 by 2, then your 70 is what you gave yourself, is 70 out of 100 or 7 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
Overall,
yeah.
Just on my little scale that I've made here for kind of how helping people kind of assess really not what, because what I'm really trying to get at is what women would value in you. Because this is more them. Like if we're talking about women, I have a whole separate scale that focuses a little bit more on some other things, not so much about how much they earn, because we don't really care about how much women earn, right? So it's different things. But now what we do is we do a height multiplier, because women really tend to care, not just in Vietnam, like you were talking about, but everywhere in the world. And it's like written on a lot of their dating apps, like that they care in their profile. They'll talk about how I don't want to date you if you're not over a certain height and all that. Like it's just really clear that women everywhere in the world care about how tall a guy is. So how tall are you? And I've got like a way of doing a multiplier now, because you're at 70 out of 100, which is 7 out of 10 that you've given yourself. And I want to know how tall are you, because that can either add or keep it the same or subtract from it.
I'm between 5'10" and 5'11".
Okay, so on my scale here, under 5'7" penalizes you. 5'8" to 5'11" is it doesn't increase or decrease your score. So you stay at a 70 out of 100 or 7 out of 10. But if you're 6 feet or over, then it adds to your dating marketplace value, right? So so you stay at a 70 out of 100 or 7 out of 10 on that one. And then the final thing, you don't have kids, right?
Do not.
No kids. So that helps your score or keeps it the same? Let's see. Keeps it the same. So you stay at that 70 out of 100 or 7 out of 10, which I still think you're being humble. But anyway, that's if you took any guy who's 7 out of 10 in the United States and you move him to Asia, he's instantly going to be seen by most women in Asia as more than a 7 out of 10. Like you said, at least 1 point higher.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, remember 5 was average. So, I mean, 7 out of 10, still quite okay above average, a little bit above, a bit above average. In Asia, I would say like pushing like 8.5, 85, roughly 85 is probably what I would score here, because especially on the masculinity side, like I end up coming off as just more silent and reserved and mysterious. And so like the status thing will already, that's where my biggest hit was. And that would be much higher automatically here.
Yeah,
So,
just the fact that you're a foreigner, a Westerner, and your height is a bigger deal there. It's probably a plus over in Asia, whereas in
yeah,
the United
I'm
States
tall.
it's kind of average.
Yeah, I get called tall here all the time, and I've never been called tall, and I'm just like 5'11", like I'm.
So that's the purpose of me having this whole scale too, is to kind of just like show people how instantly it changes when you get off the flight. All of a sudden, your dating marketplace value has completely changed. But then the other thing that changes, like we talked about already, is that what most men value in and what they're seeking in terms of a woman, not just her physical, but is she sweet? Is she feminine? What's her personality like? What's her character like? All of those things, the kind of woman that most Western men seek, they're just so much more plentiful over here. So you bring them, make them more rare by bringing them over here, and then they come to where what they're looking for is so plentiful, it just changes the marketplace completely. All right, we're pretty much done. I want to just ask you one last question. Do you have any other advice? If you're speaking to men that were saying, "Hey, Cody, I'm thinking of coming over there. I would like to possibly come and date women in Vietnam. I would be interested in seeking a relationship over there. So I would be coming for dating, for serious dating. What advice do you have for me? What would you tell them?"
Make friends with people like yourself and myself, and just ask about their experiences, and more information will always be better. So I guess the advice would be to get more information.
Awesome.